Well, the very thing that those who are outside of the Hollywood industry, that are in our community, that see the challenges that we deal with every day as a people. We work twice as hard to get, twice as less. We're not valued the way I believe we're supposed to be valued. The real deal is we don't own any platforms the way we should. There's a few.
Picture this. You're watching Menace to Society in 1993, and this unknown actor named Larenz Tate absolutely steals every scene as O-Dog. 4 years later, he's got every woman in America falling in love with his poetry in Love Jones. By 2005, he's practically disappeared from major films. No scandals, no arrests, no public breakdowns, just gone. What happened to one of Hollywood's most promising black leading men? Well, Katt Williams tried to warn us for years, and what he revealed about Larenz Tate's mysterious disappearance will change everything you thought you knew about Hollywood. Let me take you back to the early 90s, when Larenz Tate was absolutely unstoppable. This young man from Chicago's West Side had everything Hollywood claimed to want: raw talent, undeniable charisma, and that rare ability to completely transform on screen. His story starts like so many other great actors. Born September 8, 1975, Larenz was the youngest of three brothers. When his family moved to California in 1984, his parents got him and his brothers into a drama program at the Inner City Cultural Center. Initially, the boys were just trying to meet girls, but everything changed when their classmate, Malcolm Jamal Warner, got cast as Theo on The Cosby Show. Suddenly, acting became serious business for the Tate brothers. By 1985, 10-year-old Larenz was making his debut on The Twilight Zone. Then came appearances on 21 Jump Street, The Wonder Years, and Family Matters, where he played Steve Urkel's nemesis, Willie Fuffner. But these were just warm-ups for what was coming. 1993 was the year everything exploded. The Hughes brothers approached Larenz to star in their debut feature, Menace to Society. His portrayal of O-Dog, that trigger-happy teenager with zero conscience, was absolutely magnetic. Critics were blown away. Frederick I. Douglass of the Baltimore Black American called his performance instant classic material.
You can kind of see in his eyes what he was sort of about and made, whereas you didn't see that in O-Dog's eye until you crossed him.
But here's what made Larenz special. He wasn't just a one-note actor. The Inkwell showed his romantic leading man potential. Dead Presidents proved he could carry a Vietnam veteran drama. Then in '97, he hit us with Love Jones. And women everywhere were absolutely smitten. That poetry scene where Darius recites "A Blues for Nina," that was the stuff of legends. Larenz wasn't just acting, he was embodying the smooth, intellectual, artistic black man that Hollywood rarely showcased. Women were in a complete chokehold, and men respected him because he represented something different. By the late 90s, Larenz Tate was positioned to be our generation's Denzel Washington. He had the talent, the look, the versatility, and most importantly, he was clean. No scandals, no drama, no embarrassing headlines. He represented black excellence in every project he touched. Studios should have been throwing leading man roles at him left and right, but something strange was about to happen, something that would change the entire trajectory of his career. And according to Katt Williams, it wasn't an accident.
Anybody's earned the right to make a lot of money more than this man has, man. He's been carrying the torch for us for years. He ain't really got into no real controversial scandals over the years.
Now, here's where things get absolutely bizarre. After Love Jones, Larenz should have been Hollywood's next big thing. Instead, he started fading into the background in the most mysterious way possible. Think about typical Hollywood career declines for a second. Usually there's some obvious reason why a star falls off. Substance problems, legal troubles, public meltdowns, difficult behavior on set, box office flops, career-ending scandals. Something that explains why the phone stopped ringing. But with Larenz, absolutely nothing like that happened. No scandals, no arrests, no public breakdowns, no embarrassing paparazzi photos. He remained the same professional, talented, respected actor he'd always been. Yet somehow, major studio leading man roles just started disappearing. Let's look at the timeline. Post-'97, Larenz appeared in films like Why Do Fools Fall in Love, Love Come Down, A Man Apart, and Crash. But notice something. Most of these were supporting roles or smaller budget productions. The big studio leading man opportunities that should have come after Love Jones just never materialized.
We're not valued the way I believe we're supposed to be valued. So those budgets are really important for us so that we can have the kind of quality that we can present to the consumer.
By the 2000s, Larenz was mostly appearing in ensemble pieces or taking television work. Don't get me wrong, he was still delivering excellent performances whenever he got the chance. His work on Crash was phenomenal. His portrayal of Peter, the carjacker who lamented stereotypes while feeding into them, was complex and nuanced, but something was clearly different. This man who'd proven he could open movies, who had serious acting chops and a devoted fan base, was being excluded from major Hollywood productions. And here's the most telling detail. Larenz himself hinted that this wasn't career failure, it was a conscious choice. In interviews, he'd say things like, "I placed a different value upon myself than I felt people in Hollywood placed on me." He mentioned not doing some of the same things that they wanted me to do. Those statements suggest something crucial. Larenz didn't fall off, he walked away. But walked away from what exactly? What was Hollywood asking him to do that he refused? And why did his refusal result in what looked like industry-wide exclusion? According to Katt Williams, Larenz Tate's mysterious disappearance wasn't mysterious at all. It was predictable. Because in Hollywood, when you don't play the game the way they want you to play, they simply stop calling. And what Katt revealed about that game will blow your mind.
Where those numbers go. We're glad that those numbers are being paid to the comedy community because they don't pay those dollars unless you're actually paying the bills. And horror is not what Hollywood is built on.
Now, here's where things get absolutely wild, and where Katt Williams becomes our reluctant prophet of Hollywood's hidden truths. For years, literally years, Katt has been trying to warn us about what really happens behind the scenes in Hollywood, and everybody thought that he was crazy until they realized he wasn't. Katt's main theory is pretty straightforward. Hollywood doesn't like real ones. It's the fakes, the gatekeepers, the puppets that really thrive in Hollywood. But those with morals and principles tend to get tossed aside. But here's where Katt drops the real gem. He claims that before anyone reaches major Hollywood success, they have to pass certain tests. And these aren't acting tests. These are submission tests, humiliation rituals designed to see if you can be controlled.
A ritual is something that you do over and over and over again a certain way. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If part of the ritual is wearing a dress, then we should be able to look through entertainment and see all of these people being made to wear a dress.
The most famous example Katt always brings up, the dress-wearing situation. Now, before you roll your eyes, listen to how Katt explains it. When I be like, these guys are wearing dresses, everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not weird, it's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. That's how you understand what a ritual is. Think about that for a second. Dave Chappelle talked about this exact thing. He said producers tried to pressure him into wearing a dress for a scene that didn't even require it. When he refused, suddenly everyone was acting strange around him. Eventually, Dave walked away from a $50 million deal with Comedy Central. Coincidence? Katt claims the reason behind this ritual is humiliation and control. Before you get through that final door, there's always some moment where they want to make you do something that crosses your line. Something you'd never do if you had real power. And once you do it, they've got you forever. Now here's what makes Katt's theory so chilling. The evidence keeps supporting him. Kevin Hart famously said he'd never wear a dress. Then he did, and his career exploded afterwards. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. Public humiliation on the biggest stage. Kanye's wife shows up basically naked to events. John Cena presented at the Oscars wearing nothing but an envelope.
And from the looks of it, the new pope is not Turkson. The new pope is 9-year-old Oscar nominee, Kavenzhane Wallace.
But here's the part that connects to Larenz Tate. Katt claims that when actors refuse to participate in these rituals, they get quietly blacklisted. That's what makes information so powerful. You don't care how people feel about the ritual, it's about following the ritual work. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. According to Katt, Larenz got that door, that moment where Hollywood tests your submission, and he walked away. He chose dignity over deals, principles over profit, and the industry made him pay for it. Now let's talk about what Larenz actually refused to do, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Based on industry whispers and Lorenz's own statements, it became pretty clear that he was offered certain types of roles and opportunities that he just wasn't comfortable with. First, there are rumors that Larenz consistently turned down stereotypical urban roles after Love Jones, roles that perpetuated negative black male stereotypes. Dealers, gang members, deadbeat fathers, the same tired tropes that Hollywood loves to recycle because they're safe and they don't challenge power structures. But here's where it gets more specific. Multiple sources suggest that Larenz was approached about dress-wearing roles and flat out refused. And before you think that's no big deal, remember what Katt Williams said. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. Think about it. Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, Tyler Perry, Flip Wilson, Jamie Foxx, all of these comedians and actors have worn dresses in major productions, and all of them have had massive Hollywood success. But Larenz, he reportedly said no, and his career path changed immediately after.
Some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him.
Here's where Spike Lee's observation becomes crucial. Remember when he said that Hollywood is comfortable with black pain and dysfunction? It sells, it's safe, and it doesn't challenge power. Yeah, it's happening in plain sight, and Larenz and Katt are fully aware of it. But a self-respecting black man who won't sell out, who refuses to play stereotypical characters, who maintains his dignity and artistic integrity, that's dangerous to the system. That's someone kids might look up to. That's someone who might start calling them out. And here's the brutal truth that Katt Williams has been trying to tell us. Hollywood has always had a cap on how many respectable black men can be in the spotlight at the same time. They'll elevate one, give him the Oscar, the prestigious roles, the long career, but behind that, it's like they need the rest to stay in the lane of sidekicks or stereotypes. Meanwhile, studios throw money at actors playing the same urban trauma characters over and over. Why? Because just like Spike said, Hollywood is comfortable with black pain. It doesn't threaten anyone. It doesn't make white audiences uncomfortable. It confirms existing stereotypes rather than challenging them.
Standards, one black, one white, and we have to leave Eddie. I always say this, with no offense to Eddie, but Eddie is not considered black per se, as Hollywood is. Because we're black, we don't have a broad appeal, so therefore they don't want to be exposed as much financially as they would for JFK and Oliver Stone.
But Larenz represented something different. In Love Jones, he was an intellectual, artistic, successful black man who wrote poetry and worked at a magazine. He wasn't a gangster or a comedian or a sidekick. He was a complex three-dimensional character that showed black excellence without apology. And that made certain people uncomfortable. Because if Larenz became the next Denzel, if he started getting leading man roles consistently, other young black actors might start demanding the same treatment. They might start refusing stereotypical roles. They might start expecting dignity and respect. So when Larenz refused to bend the knee, when he wouldn't participate in humiliation rituals, or accept disrespectful roles, Hollywood had to make him disappear. Not dramatically, that would draw attention. Just quietly, systematically, professionally. The phone simply stopped ringing for major roles. Now here's where Larenz made his biggest mistake, at least from Hollywood's perspective. He started talking, not just complaining or whining, but speaking specific truths about industry practices that powerful people wanted to keep quiet. In 2020, during an interview, Larenz highlighted some epiphanies that probably sealed his fate permanently. He said,
Well, the very thing that those who are outside of the Hollywood industry, that are in our community, that see the challenges that we deal with every day as a people. You know, we work twice as hard to get, twice as less. It's the same way. We're not valued the way I believe we're supposed to be valued.
But Larenz didn't stop there. He got specific about the systemic nature of the problem. He explained that black people don't own any platform the way we should. There's a few black-owned platforms, but we all don't have a lot of outlets. We don't have as many, so we're not governing over these entities or these corporations.
The real deal is we don't own any platforms the way we should.
Think about what he's saying here. He's not just talking about individual pay disparities, he's exposing the entire power structure that keeps black artists dependent on white-owned platforms. That's dangerous talk in Hollywood. But then Larenz dropped the real truth that Hollywood likes to devalue black artists and black folk because you get super talented people at a discounted rate. That's calling out the business model. That's explaining exactly how the system profits from under-evaluation. And Hollywood executives do not like being called out like that. Larenz also revealed something that completely contradicted Hollywood's official narrative. He talked about traveling internationally and realizing that Hollywood has always taught black people don't translate overseas or worldwide. But when you start traveling and you go everywhere and you can't walk down the street, that's when you know somebody's been telling you something wrong all along.
We're not looking for handouts. We're not asking for any favors. Black folk have earned the right to have the things that we believe, right? From what we've contributed in front of the camera.
Do you understand what he's saying? Hollywood has been lying to black actors for decades, telling them that they don't have international appeal to justify paying them less and giving them fewer opportunities. But Larenz discovered firsthand that black artists are hugely popular worldwide. Hollywood just doesn't want to pay them what they're worth. Now compare Lorenz's honesty to what happened to other actors who spoke similar truths. Taraji P. Henson broke down on live television talking about being tired of working hard and getting paid a fraction of the cost. Monique called out Netflix for lowballing her compared to white comedians. Both of them were immediately labeled difficult and ungrateful. The message Hollywood sends is clear. Be grateful for whatever scraps we give you, smile for the cameras, and never question the system. The moment you start speaking about fairness or demanding what you're worth, you become a problem that needs to be solved. And Lorenz's solution? Complete industry exclusion from major projects. Not dramatic or public, just quiet professional erasure.
And we've taken the reins. We've been able to do so much, and we've made y'all a lot of money. 10 times, 100 times over in a real way. But also the consumers, black communities, black people support all movies.
So how exactly does Hollywood destroy someone like Larenz Tate without creating a scandal or drawing attention? It's actually pretty simple and absolutely brutal. First, they don't do anything dramatic. No public confrontations. No leaked stories about difficult behavior. No smear campaigns. Because Larenz was too clean for any of that to stick. So what do? They simply stop calling. Major studio casting directors stop considering him for leading roles. His agent stops getting offers for big budget productions. The entertainment media stops writing profiles about him. Award shows stop inviting him as a presenter. He just gradually fades from the Hollywood conversation. But here's the real insidious part. They use financial pressure to force compromise. By 2014, Larenz was facing lawsuits over unpaid credit card bills. When major roles dry up, bills don't stop coming. Eventually, actors in this situation get desperate enough to accept anything. That's exactly what happened when Larenz joined Power. He admitted publicly that he worked for peanuts, and that his agent opposed the decision, calling it career death. But Larenz took the role anyway because he believed in the project and needed the work. They excluded you from major opportunities until you're financially desperate. Then they offer you low-paying roles that your team advises against. If you take them, you look desperate. If you don't, you have no income. Meanwhile, the media stays silent about what's happening. No entertainment reporters investigate why this tremendous talented actor suddenly stopped getting major roles. No industry publications question the obvious talent waste. Everyone just pretends it's normal career fluctuation.
I got $50,000 for that movie. See, they want me to come to India or do some things for Almost Christmas.
Yeah.
But when you look at all the principals in Almost Christmas, Danny Glover, Monique, Gabrielle Union, Kimberly Elise, the 4 principals, we were all paid less than $1 million total.
Oh, all your salaries combined?
My gosh.
You heard what I said?
Wait.
You heard what I said? See, there are conversations that need to be had because when you have, and it all ties together.
The same pattern happened to Monique after she called out industry pay disparities. Complete exclusion from major projects for years. Taraji P. Henson had spoken about similar experiences after speaking out. The message is clear. This is what happens when you don't play the game. But here's what makes Larenz's story even more tragic. He never compromised his values. Even when facing financial pressure, even when his career was being destroyed, he maintained his dignity and artistic integrity. That's why Katt Williams calls him one of the real ones. Because when Hollywood tested Larenz Tate's character, he passed with flying colors. The price he paid was his career, but the alternative was his soul. And according to Larenz, that wasn't even a choice. So there you have it. Larenz Tate didn't fall off, he escaped. He chose dignity over deals, principles over profit, and Hollywood made him pay the price. But here's the thing. Katt Williams was right all along. The truth is finally coming out about Hollywood's hidden control system. Sometimes the real ones pay the highest price for their integrity, but they keep their souls. What do you think really happened to Larenz Tate? Drop your thoughts below and let's keep the conversation going.